My friends, welcome to this episode of the Outdoor Gear Review. I hope you all are doing well. What I have here in my hands today is a Tipi tent from a company called BackCountryLite. This is a veteran-owned, US-based company based out of Colorado. And this is the Mesa 3 to 4 person hot tent. In this episode, we will be taking a look at the Mesa tent and also an optional floor. This product here is going to be very interesting because it serves two purposes. One, it's a floor for the tent. Two, it's also a tarp. To be honest, after looking at a few pictures of this product and the shape of this, I'm not sure how this would work as a tarp. This is, without a doubt, an interesting aspect when it comes to this system. That, my friends, is what this episode is all about. So folks, let's get to it. Let's get started. To start off, let's do a component breakdown. We have the storage bag here, draw pull at the top. You do have a handle down at the bottom. Here we have the tent and all of the components. We have a compression strap across the top, across the body. As you can see here, we have 4 bags. Tent stakes, guy lines, and a pole. That's right, with this Tipi tent, a pole is included, and also 2 sets of tent stakes. With the pole, you can see that no shock cord is included. In other words, you have to put this together piece by piece. Let's take a look at the guy lines first. With this tent being a 4th season Tipi tent, as you can imagine, a ton of guy lines are included, or should be included, and luckily they are. What we have here are 8 guy lines. Guy lines that feature metal hardware. Now let's take a look at the tent stakes. So again, we have 2 bags of tent stakes. One bag features aluminum stakes. The other bag features titanium. If I counted these correctly, we have 12 aluminum tent stakes. And we should have 12 titanium stakes as well. And yes, that is correct. We have 12 titanium stakes. You may be wondering why the company included 2 sets of stakes, and the answer is simple. The aluminum stakes are for soft ground. The titanium stakes are for hard ground. So the company is basically thinking about their users and the use cases with this tent, and they're giving you options. They're trying to make your camping experience better by offering tent stakes for different weather conditions. And here, everyone, we have the tent itself, the Tipi tent. We will take a look at this in a second when we set it up. Now, let's move over to the floor. With the floor here, we have the same style storage bag, grab handle at the bottom, and a drop pull up here at the top. We have a compression strap that goes around. And in this bag, let's see what we have here. What we have here are 8 tent stakes, aluminum, and we have 2 guy lines. Now, unfortunately, 2 guy lines is not enough to set up most tarps. That is something to keep in mind there. And here we have the floor / tarp. I'll tell you what, everybody, let's lay this down on the ground, let's spread it out, and let's see what this looks like. This is very interesting, everybody. With the ground sheet, with the floor, with the tarp, whatever you want to call it. I can see it making sense as a floor. I don't see it making sense as a tarp. It would be better than nothing, but as a tarp itself, I don't see this working out very well. It does have an interesting feature here that makes sense as a floor. You can see here we have a zippered section. This is so that you can unzip this to make a space for your stove inside of your tent. Again, this is a hot tent. When it comes to a tarp aspect, this is not going to do much for you, I don't believe. Without a doubt, you're going to get much more protection and much more versatility from an actual square-shaped tarp or rectangle-shaped tarp. Around the body of the floor, we have 8 stakeout points. It is now time to set up the tent. I'm going to set it up right over the top of the floor here. That way we can see how these 2 components go together. I will be back once I have this done. When it comes to the center pole here, something to take note of is the fact that this is fully adjustable, so you can extend this or shorten it. All that you have to do is push down this stud, push up, or you can pull it down. As you all can see here, the tent has been set up. Now let's take a look at the features of this tent. With the door here, we have a storm flap that goes over the zipper. We also have numerous guy line points. One here, and they continue to go around the tent. The tent features a snow skirt that goes all the way around the tent. Right up here, we have the stove jack. As you saw there, the cover to the stove jack unzips, exposing the stove jack itself. This is removable if you need to replace it. Here we have a vent, which can be closed, and that is the only vent on this tent. This, everyone, is what the floor looks like. Unfortunately, you do have exposed sections of ground. Because of this, ticks, spiders, bugs, and so on are still a concern. You have a reinforced section for the pole on the floor, and the top of the tent is reinforced as well for the pole. In a nutshell, my friends, that is the Mesa 3 to 4 person tent. Now that we have it set up, let's go over some stats. First off, the company claims this is a 3 to 4 person tent without a stove. With the stove, 2 to 3 persons. The dimensions. When stored, the tent is 18.5 inches by 6 inches. The floor is 9.5 inches by 4 inches. When the tent is set up, it is 6 foot 3 inches tall, 10 by 10. When it comes to the weight of this system, the tent itself is 3 pounds 5 ounces. The floor, 1 pound 8 ounces. The pole, 15 ounces. The titanium tent stakes are 4.4 ounces. The aluminum tent stakes come in at 5.4 ounces. The total weight of this kit, of this system here, is 7.5 pounds. When it comes to the materials, the tent and the floor are composed of a 40 denier ripstop nylon. As far as pricing goes, the tent by itself, with the pole and the tent stakes, is $393. If you purchase the floor along with the tent, that's an additional $59. The floor by itself can be purchased for $80. And if you decide to purchase the floor and the tent together, it is $452. With this episode here, this is a first look at a product made by an American company. So far as quality goes, I have to say I'm very impressed. Everything about this tent screams high quality. Every single component. I've looked the tent over, I've seen no issues as far as the construction goes. The seams are perfect. There's no loose threads. All of the seam tape is excellent. In general, I would say that the overall design of this product is good. I do see some areas of improvement that could be made. For an example, the stakeout points with the body here, they could be adjustable, and that would make the whole setup process much easier. Also, when it comes time to make adjustments to this tent, it would make that process much easier as well. Speaking of which, this is a 40 denier ripstop silnylon, and because it's a silnylon, that means the material will stretch, and that means that you will need to make adjustments to this shelter as time goes by, especially when it gets wet. Because of the materials used, the stakeout points do need to be adjustable. The stored size of the tent is not bad. The company claims this is a 3 to 4 person tent without a stove, and I'd say that is correct. They recommend 2 to 3 people with the stove. Again, I agree. With that being said though, everyone inside of this tent is going to be close together. For optimal comfort, I would recommend 2 people plus gear plus a wood stove. To me, that makes sense. When it comes to the floor, I do like the fact that you can unzip it and pull back the material for your stove. That's smart. Unfortunately, there's no way to attach the floor to the tent, so you're not going to keep out any sort of bugs. Now, as far as the floor goes, using it as a tarp, I just do not see this working out well. The fact that the company only provided 2 guy lines, in my opinion, is telling. Now, let's talk a little bit more about this product, because as I mentioned before, you can purchase this separately from the BackCountryLite website. Now, unfortunately, the company only has 2 pictures. Only one of those pictures actually makes sense. It shows it being used as a floor with the floor pulled back for a stove. That makes sense. The other picture shows it being set up, but the setup is really sloppy and you really can't see the overall shape and design of the tarp itself. Because of that, I would highly recommend that the company put more information and more pictures on their listings. At the same time, with this tent here, I did not see any sort of hydrostatic head rating. Because of that, I do not know what the waterproof rating is for this tent. So again, the company needs to put more information and also more pictures about these products on their website. With the floor specifically, there's no dimensions, there's nothing like that included on the listing, and that needs to change. The stove jack looks to be very solid. The vent can be adjusted from the outside and it is reachable. I say that because with some Tipi tents, the vents could be so high from the ground that many people cannot reach them. So in this case, you can open it, close it, no big deal. When it comes to the weight of this system, the full weight, 7.5 pounds, that's pretty heavy for one person. If you're going to split up the weight with others, that makes sense, but for one person, this really doesn't. As far as my impressions go concerning this tent, I have to say I am impressed with the quality. With that being said though, this was a first look. From this point on, I'm going to begin testing out this tent. In fact, I have a trip coming up on Wednesday where this tent is going to see a lot of rain. So make sure to stay tuned to the channel to see the results from that testing from that trip. As far as the pricing goes for this system, it's not bad. You're talking about a full setup for less than $500 with good components, good materials, and the quality is excellent so far. So what I see here, in my opinion, is certainly worth $500 based upon a first look perspective. Now, of course, I'm going to begin testing this out, so my thoughts could change. An aspect that's very important to this tent is the height. I stated before that it's 6 foot 3 inches tall. That's to the very peak, but that doesn't mean that if you're 6 foot, you can stand up inside of this tent. In fact, if you're 5'4", you really can't stand up, right? You have to be under that. So for myself, I could stand up here, but I have to hunch over. I cannot stand up straight, and that's because of the walls. Going back to my message to BackCountryLite about their website, the details, the pictures, and so on, if it was my business, I would make sure to address that rather quickly. Your customers deserve more information and more pictures concerning these products, especially when it comes to the floor/tarp. Customers need to see whether or not this actually makes sense to be used as a tarp. Now it's your turn to share your thoughts about this tent. So comment down below, share your thoughts, share your opinions. What do you all think about the overall design? What do you all think about the materials? What do you all think about the white color? Also, what do you all think about the floor here? As a floor, it makes sense. Does it make sense considering the shape of this as a tarp? I don't think it does. Comment down below, share your thoughts. Thank you all very much for tuning in for this episode. I'll see you soon. Take care, be well, strength and honor. Oh, by the way, make sure you are subscribed because the testing with this tent is coming up very soon. All right, folks, I'm done. Be well, take care, strength and honor.